Welcome to the Monday Night Men's Forum. I am Matt DeRocher of A Farm Hop Life. Who do we have tonight?
It's Christopher with Secure Coop.
Homestead of Pain, and I have started putting out content this week.
Nice. You gotta say it like Randy Savage. Homestead of Pain.
Yeah.
I'll work on that.
All right, you should do that. You should try it with your girlfriend. See if it gets you anywhere. Okay. Personal events. Christopher, you're up.
Yeah. Excited that we drove the car into the new driveway. Yay. And because that's good, because I then laid out the solar panels where they're going to go, and that we started that process. So got them all laid out, and thinking of, I might have to adjust that a little bit before we get that going. But 5,000 watts of solar panels. Also was looking at I heard a really neat talk on what's that chemical in the brain? Dopamine.
Yes.
It's dopamine, and they said that dopamine is we think of it as the pleasure chemical, but dopamine is actually the motivator chemical in the hormone.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so they knew that. They found that out because they did a test with rats, and the rats could push a lever and they'd get food and a mate and whatever they want, and they push the lever and they'd get it. So they'd have rats trained on that. And then one of the two rats, they killed the dopamine in the rat. They used a toxin to kill the dopamine center in the brain. And they moved both rats just one mouse length away from the lever, so that all they had to do was put out a little bit of effort to go and get the food or get the thing. The one that had dopamine went for the lever. The one that had its dopamine killed did not. And so I got to thinking about that, and his suggestion is he's talking about dopamine and a lot of the things that artificially boost and then drop like a rock your dopamine levels, which are things like coffee, nicotine, social media, and things like that. So, I could probably cut back on that. Did that today, and a pretty darn good day. So we'll see if that isn't also what's dragging me down. I've got a number of things dragging me down. That's perhaps another one. So.
Gotcha. Sorry, I was laughing because Jeremy made quite the entrance, like nice and quiet. Cracks a beer.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was that loud. Like, it's a directional mic. It shouldn't have picked up back here.
There is a mute button.
But it's look at that.
What did we have? Grant, are you on here twice? What are you doing?
I only have
whatever.
one StreamYard window open.
Well, you're in here twice.
Well, because I'm just that good.
Well, I'm gonna kick both of you out. Both. Double the pleasure, double the fun.
I would say my story is I started making content. That's my event for this week. I've just started getting out and doing that. So that's pretty much it.
Glad to hear that.
Because somebody called you out.
I got bullied into it. Peer pressure.
Hey, your seeds are here. They haven't gone out yet. I'm sorry.
We need an old lady update, Grant.
Oh,
or is that an off-air conversation?
No, it's good. We're hanging out a couple days this week, so she'll be hanging out for a couple days. So that's gonna be good.
It's Padre. Oh my gosh. Sorry, Padre. Oh my gosh. Wow, I'm dumb. I am so dumb.
Just keep him in the waiting room.
Right?
Yeah, for real. Okay. Grant, did you apologize after putting your foot in your mouth?
What?
Or did you not do that yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm confused.
You asked me to take down.
Oh yeah. No.
Okay, we'll leave that be. You can fill in Jeremy by yourself if you want. Okay, Jeremy. Do we like donuts?
What are we doing?
Personal event.
Personal event. I can't turn my neck. Woke up this morning.
Whoa,
Like I
snap.
can't. Like it's like right there.
I thought
That's
we
a
were
bit-
gonna have a moment of silence for your personal event.
Oh, for Red. Yeah, she died.
Yeah, for Red.
Yeah,
That
she
was
died.
quite the journey.
It really was. 75,000 followers later.
Wow.
Man, that's
Went,
wild.
went went from 148,000 to 224,000.
Have you buried her yet?
We're not going to talk about that
Okay.
on air.
You ate her, didn't you?
There wasn't much meat on those bones. Off air, I can tell y'all, but
Okay.
Okay.
I just people. I don't know how many people see this, and
0.
Yeah.
Like 30 at least.
Like 30. Yeah, they're all
At
Grant's
least.
family.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of questions. I had several questions like, so what did you do with it? I just completely ignored those.
I would just like dedicate a garden bed to her.
It's called the circle of life, friends.
Right?
It's called the circle
Exactly.
of life.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so personal event, I guess. Yeah, Red died.
Yeah, my neck just doesn't turn.
That's all I can think about right now. It hurts.
Oh,
That's all I can think about.
It's all. It hurts.
because of the chicken?
Because Good.
No, man. 3:00 this morning, I woke up and I couldn't turn my neck.
Oh, daggone.
Turn my head. It's better-ish.
If we all just move our heads the entire podcast just to rub it in Jeremy's face, just like, oh man.
I mean, I can move it. It just hurts.
Mm.
Yeah, like it's like it's a crick in the neck. Yep.
Padre, Homestead Padre, welcome. Been a little while. Would you like to share a
Yep.
personal event?
I harvested radishes. I've lived a pretty uneventful life this past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Radishes. What do you do with your radishes? Pickled, or what do you do?
Both. We pickle them or put them in a salad, or sometimes I eat them like apples. So
Wow.
You eat them like apples. Like what kind of radish? Because I'm not a fan of radishes, like those just basic
it's just
radishes.
it's just a small little globe radishes.
Hmm.
They got a nice sweetness to them. We get some cold snaps in here. They get a little sugar content to them, so it's almost like candy.
Yeah.
It's gardener's
Almost like
candy.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on the radishes. There's plenty of other actual good things to eat in a garden.
December?
Yeah, like so. Okay, so here's my personal event, right? I sent a picture to Jeremy over the weekend. I had deer eating out of my chicken. There, I'm back. I had deer eating out of my chicken feeder, and
No, they were eating out of the deer feeder. I mean, let's be
technically,
honest.
it's a chicken
Right?
feeder. It says deer feeder on the box, but that's
But
not what
there's
I'm using
chicken
it for.
feed in it.
But they
So, I
read
mean-
that word deer.
I
That's why
mean,
they
Damn it.
were eating.
they can read.
Yeah, they can read.
So
I've
there's chicken
I've never
feed.
seen that though.
That's why they put those deer crossing signs on the road to tell the deer where to cross the road at.
That's a good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I ran into somebody that actually does that for a living, and I'm like, how do you get them? Like, you have to teach them to read and everything too. She didn't think that was that funny. Yeah, she is like, yeah, haha. Like, haven't heard that one before. But yeah, so like hunting season for me is closed. Like if you have a bow, you can still shoot them. And so my neighbor across the street has a bow, and I'm on one side of the street in one hunting district, and across the street where he's in another hunting district. Like, I don't know how that, whatever. And so I texted him, and I was kind of joking. I go, will you please come over here and shoot these deer that are like, I'm throwing rocks at them. Like, I hit 2 in the head and they still didn't care. And so we're going back and forth a little bit, and he didn't tell me he was coming over. And so I look out the window, and he's on my deck, like in camo, and he's got his bow, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I like a couple of minutes later here, thump. So we went and shot one, And then holy crap, we got a full house tonight.
Yeah.
And then and so after dinner, we all went out. He came back. We went and looked for it. He ended up getting it in the liver, and it made it like maybe 70 yards. And Milo came out with me, my 2.5-year-old, and he was just watching. That's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
The circle of life.
Yep. So that was our personal event. We got to see where our food comes from sometimes. Before we move on to Scott, welcome. Christopher, what is this?
Yeah.
Baiting deer is illegal. Corn piles intended for squirrels, chipmunks, and other such critters. Any deer found eating this corn will be shot. That's pretty much how it went. And that deer was shot with a bow. Legally. Excellent. Scott, Thriving the Future podcast. Welcome. Share a personal event, please.
This week we had a workshop where we processed chickens. So
Nice.
some unruly roosters decided to graduate to freezer camp.
How many?
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The freezer camp theme of
Yeah.
Chickens and
I'm the only
Deer
one
and-
that didn't kill anything.
Right. Yeah. When they start drawing blood, then it's time to draw some blood.
Unruly roosters taste the best.
Man.
Yeah.
I disagree. Like, I'm glad they're gone, but man, I had one this year that was super stringy, and I didn't really care for
You
it.
sure you didn't cook it right?
Crock pot.
Once it draws blood, it makes great chicken and dumplings.
Yeah. It was a little bit tough, but it was good.
What, Jeremy, were you crying when you were eating your when you had your meals this weekend? No.
Look,
He just
man,
stayed away
they're,
from chicken.
no, man, we had chicken tonight.
He's like wiping away his tears with like a wing.
You know what's funny is like, so I made that video. What is I guess it was Thanksgiving week. Basically, I mean, I had a chicken that looked like she was egg bound, so I was gonna try to fix it, do right by the chicken, make a TikTok on how to, and like 7 million views later,
7
Red.
million views.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
that chicken had a following. And I'm like, well, fine, I'll make a few videos about the chicken. And Red has like her own personality, and she took over my page for the 2 weeks
Like
that
a
she had
month.
left.
Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah. It felt like
Yeah.
it went on a long time.
It felt
You
like
trying
it.
to fix
Yeah, I did
that.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
She didn't make it?
Nah. So she ended up she was doing better. Put her back in the coop with the other chickens. And she was just kind of weak, but she was doing fine. She was eating, she was drinking, she was getting around. And I went out one day and all of the feathers on her head were gone. And there was blood drawn. And all the other chickens were pecked at her.
Do you think that they
pulled her back
sensed
inside.
weakness or
Probably.
something and took her out?
I think so.
Mercy killing.
And so I brought her inside, cleaned her up, got some water in her as much as I could, and thought, maybe she'll make it through the night. And she didn't. So I mean, I felt bad.
Man.
I hate
Yeah.
that. It's it's kind of this weird like gray area between livestock and pets.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like if we had meat birds, I wouldn't think anything of it. They're meat birds. They're bred for 6 weeks, or they're grown for 6 weeks and then processed. They're meat birds. But these, I mean, we've had these chickens for 2.5 years, and they've each kind of got their own personality. And we've named a few of them. We haven't named a few of them. Some of them hate me, and some of them I hate back. And but like she was kind of like the cool one. Like she'd just come up and like, hey, like anytime I'd walk out there, she'd come right up to me like, hey, what you got for me? She'd let me pick her up. I mean, she was kind of like the cool chicken of the bunch. So I hated to see her go, but no, I didn't shed any tears.
I got you. Yeah. So tonight, completely shifting gears. Collapse now, avoid the rush. This is something I've seen float around more recently, and it comes from. I had to look this up. It's a book called "Collapse Now and Avoid the Rush: The Best of the Ark Druid Report" by
Yep.
John Michael Greer. Has anyone read this book?
Yes,
No.
Nope.
Scott.
What?
I'm a big John Michael Greer fan.
All right, tell us. Okay, since you're the expert, tell us about the book.
Yeah, so
I want a book report.
basically these are essays from his website, and the idea is if we're heading towards a collapse, then you can take stuff now to offset that, and basically, like he says, do it now, and then it won't hurt you as much later. So it's similar to what Shudra says on Twitter, right? Plant trees, get out of debt, grow your own food, right, and stuff like that. So he's really big with the Doomer Optimist crowd. That's why you've been seeing it a lot lately.
You mean John Michael Greer is?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's got this book that I have called Retrotopia that I really like. Is basically like alternate future of what would happen if the U.S. broke into not states but into regions after a civil
balkanization.
War. Yeah, balkanization, and then he uses that sort of like the old book Utopia to have a thought experiment on how you would do it. Right.
Sure. So when I hear collapse now, avoid the rush, I took it as like personally, like, okay, in my mind, like let's just play it. Yeah, exactly. Like let's just play it out. Like,
right.
If it collapsed, like shit hit the fan, what would I do about food, energy, communication, the 6 pillars or whatever it is? Like, what would I do? And then go do that, make sure I have those in place. Make sure I have those in place now, today, while there actually isn't a collapse. Is that right? Is that how he
Yeah, he's not a prepper dude, but it's similar to
how
that.
Could you not be with a title like that? How could you not be a prepper dude?
Yeah, it's more of a minimalist thing. Right. So he doesn't own a car.
Make do with less.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't own a car. He's very retro.
Makes prepping easier.
Yeah, he's very retro tech, right? So instead, go back to, like, he has some stories in one of his books about folks who are like living 1950s like.
Is it fiction or is it nonfiction?
It's nonfiction.
So
now, Retrotopia is fiction, of course, but the rest of them are not, right? So it's basically thought experiments of, to head this off and to collapse now, what would it take, right? So he doesn't have a car. He takes the train. He moved to some small town, where you could walk everywhere and stuff like that.
Okay. So I that reminds me of a story I wrote to my wife also about 10 years ago. I'm looking at this articles also 10 years ago, but I wrote an article or a story rather to my wife about what our life might look like if things got ugly, and in an optimistic way. Like, we got a little farm, we have this technology, we have that technology, we're doing this with our clothes, we have a cut on the hand and how we dealt with it. This is how we get our vitamin C. This is how we heat the water. This is how we keep warm. And it was to my wife to sort of inspire her into moving into this same lifestyle. And we're on our way. I was looking at it again just yesterday, and we're on our way to that. Not some things may never be realized. Like I had written about building an earth-sheltered house, and that has all kinds of advantages, but it's also a lot of work, and we got our RVs now, but what a lot of things, we're doing, compost toilet. I was writing about that. I just laid out the solar panels. So we're moving along to that. There's a lot of things that you can do that don't have to be 1950s. One of the cool thing about living in this age is we do have better understanding about how to use plastics and how to use other things like that. But we can take some of the best of the old and mix it with some of the best of the new and work it together. So yeah.
It's interesting that you brought up plastic because I know Padre has specifically said, I'm trying to get rid of all plastic.
Right. Now,
That's,
the use that came to my mind when I mentioned that is, well, protecting your roof, your ceilings. But Mike Ayler made an underground house, and he chose plastic for the reason that, one, you got a vapor barrier, you're not passing water back and forth. But another is when you bury the plastic and you sandwich it, between layers so that you're not exposed to the plastic if that bothers you. But you get the plastic in there, and because it's not UV exposed, it's never going to degrade. It's going to sit in that soil for a long, long, long time. So you can build a house he built it for $50. That was 50 years ago, but $50 even then was $300 today. So
sure. Yeah.
So there's ways to do it that use these modern stuff that we're not trapped in the 50s. So
to clarify my get away from plastic, that's more in line with food storage and things like that. As far as consumption, what we're getting into our bodies, water and plastic bottles, things like that. I have no problem using plastic around the farm on certain things. It's either I've recycled many plastic things versus sending them to a landfill. So the product's already there, it's already made, it's in the environment. So instead of sticking it in a dump, I would rather find a use for it otherwise. But I don't want the microplastics and things like that in my diet, in my kids' diet.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I thought about sending you a picture, Padre, so we've got like baby bottles and this and that. And of course, all that is plastic. I mean, it's like I basically have a pile of plastic next to our sink, and I thought I'd send you a picture just to like get your blood boiling. Hey, I'm not like, hey, look at me, Mr. Plastic. Like, I'm not exactly like thrilled with it either, but eventually it'll not be there. So
yeah, them finding plastic in the bloodstream and then like semen and things like that was kind of an eye opener for me.
Yeah, I kind of hit on that. It was like breaking down of the plastics, like the chemicals, like BPA's and stuff. I finally got, my parents just kind of start switching over to glass and less, Tupperware, because it's so cheap. On top of it being bad, it's just so cheap. It constantly breaks, constantly needs replacing. You don't really have to do that with glass unless you drop it.
Unless you drop it.
But with like anchor hawking, I've dropped several of them and they just bounce.
Yeah. There used to be
my
a
son over to
company
your house
called
will break
Herky
everything
Glass.
that's glass.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking over you.
No, I was making a joke. I said, I'll send my son to your house. He'll break everything that's glass.
No, I have too many intake planners.
There used to be a company called Herky Glass. They made canning jars, and man, I wanted to get some of those. You could bounce them 8 feet onto concrete. You could just drop them on concrete. Boom. It's the same stuff that they make phone glass out of. That's not, you're still, that cracking glass still happens, but it happens a whole lot less than it could, if it was just standard glass. It's like, it's along the lines of the anchor hawking.
Yeah, it's Gorilla Glass.
Yeah,
is what they call it.
It's like Gorilla Glass, right? But but they made canning jars out of it, and there just wasn't enough demand. And I said, "Oh gosh, I wanted to get some of those jars so badly, didn't have the money."
Yeah, I think the big question is, so what's SHTF look like to you?
Good question.
Yeah, that's the question. That you, in order to answer, how do you collapse now and avoid the rush? What does that collapse look like?
Mm-hmm.
So I sent out a list with, along with the invite and everything. And first thing on the list was food. So like STHF with the food, like what's that look like to everybody? And like, how would you fix that? You know, I mean,
Are
obviously
you talking
stored
about
food,
on a personal level, community level, or nationwide level?
personal, because you don't give two craps about two houses down from you.
I mean, they might want your
I
food.
could argue that.
They
I
might
could
want
argue
your
that.
food.
I'd care more if we were in collapse.
They're not your main priority. The main
Sure.
priority is your household.
But they become an issue when they come knocking at your door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
You know what?
When
Again,
you need them to
not
watch
your
that.
main
I-
priority.
Okay,
You know what?
so
If they're that much of an issue, a bullet fixes that.
I
that
don't
is
want to be that
true.
guy though.
My,
But yeah,
my neighbor 2 doors down has a bunch of cattle, so
Yeah.
See, your neighbor 2 doors down is going to have people wanting his cattle. So
Watch out for
You
you.
better.
I'm
you
one
better-
of them,
Yeah,
so-
watch out. Yeah,
I
you
mean,
better watch
I
out
would
for
get
him.
buddy and help him keep his cattle. Then you just have access
Community.
to cattle. Exactly.
I have made good friends with him, and we've
Yeah.
conversed on this before. I do a lot of vegetables and fruit. He has a lot of cattle. We can be really good friends.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's like the big end goal, though, in all of this, specifically for me, is I'm wanting to get into market gardening, market vegetable production, market plant production. But if say that ever happens, once I have my foundation done, I could flip that switch on and make that just complete personal use whenever. So I'd have enough that I could just consistently feed myself, and then store enough of it for the winter to get through the winter.
I ran a
Yeah.
poll. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was going to say, think back to great grandparents, early 1900s. They weren't necessarily considered preppers, but they grew the majority of their food. They preserved it through the winter, and then they rinsed and repeated the next year. That's what I want to get back to is
Victory gardens.
Yeah, but relying less on the system, and that's a lot of what I teach on my TikTok channel, outside of the dead chicken. But it's getting back to some of those basics. I mean, if we can offset the need for a supply chain, then if I can teach my neighbor 2 doors down to start a small garden, then he's not going to come knocking on my door.
We got a comment here from Squintin Quintin, which I still think is so funny. I've seen him around before. I already give my neighbors veggies from my garden. I'm already known as on my block as the gardener. That's a nice title to have.
That's a pro and a con with that. It's a pro because you could be the guy who they want to trade with. The con is you might be the guy they want to steal from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Are vegetables really going to be in high demand first thing? I feel like they're going to be secondary. Like people want higher
Food.
calorie.
Depends
Calories
what
are
collapse we're
calories.
talking about.
But
Potatoes.
it's so low in caloric, unless it's like potatoes, you got to eat
Right.
a lot of, I don't know. I feel like that's a good thing. That's a good, kind of gray man kind of
And
level to have.
You can even take the gray man to a next level by going on a walk for wild edibles. Pick up your wild edible seeds, take the seeds and the transplants and put them in your garden, and
Yeah.
don't put them in neat rows, and people will think you just haven't mowed your lawn in a while. So
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people are stupid.
Yeah.
They don't pay attention to stuff.
around here we grow wild yams all over the place, wild yams. You go down a walk and people have no idea that there's 10 pounds of potatoes sitting in the ground right there. So
I've got a
Wow.
book that's about
I'd like to see
foraging.
some of that.
yeah,
That sounds pretty cool.
yeah, it's
Foraging,
really
a
cool.
book that's on foraging in
Mhm.
the southeast U.S. and it's
Yeah.
actually written by a guy that's within 30 miles of where I live, and it's things that I can forage for in my area. So we can go on a walk and find wild edibles.
Could you send me the name of that book?
Yeah, shoot me a message later and remind me.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, while you're walking around, use the plant identifier app. I think it's called
Right.
Plant This, right? And
Or
and
iSeek.
It's
Yeah,
different
and
on
look at those.
iPhone
Yeah.
or Android. Yeah.
sure. And then you look at the different things, and you're sitting there going, "This is just a weed," and it turns out to be henbit, which is pretty good to put in your in your salad and stuff.
That's exactly what I started doing. Like I told you, after I read My Side of the Mountain,
Mhm.
That's
Oh,
I
that was a
started.
great book.
That I started
love
doing
that
that
book.
with everything. I went
Mhm.
like even to like our flowers. It's like, well, what edibles flowers? That's why I started collecting perennials, all in the alum family. Because if you need to, you can toss them in a stew. You
Right.
know, because they're basically onions.
Sure.
I love that book. I read that book so many times.
Did you know he wrote 2 sequels to it?
No.
They're
Yeah, on
also really
Amazon.
good.
Yeah, on Amazon they only have one of the sequels.
Okay. I have to look it up.
eBay, you should be able to find the like all 3 in one book.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I went and picked up some more chicken feed yesterday, and where I pick up my chicken feed, they have a bunch of rabbits hopping around, and the guy was telling me about them. He said they have like 200 rabbits,
Whoa.
like just all around the property.
Hey, gum.
And so I'm like, man, I just need to like basically get off my ass and go do this because it should be like super low input. I don't want to keep rabbits in cages because they're super like temperamental and like they just die for no reason. Like if they get like half a degree too warm, they just like die. And then they start like eating each other or something. I don't know. They're dumb. And so I just want to like basically have just free range rabbits. Like,
wow,
maybe throw up like a couple like straw bales for shelter, or start digging a hole and they can finish it or something like that, and just have very low input rabbit. And if we ever need them, like I'll just like shoot one or trap it, and so they'll always be there. Basically, a rabbit garden. And if my neighbors want some, go catch one. I don't care. Like,
so the deer will eat your chicken feed, and the rabbits will eat your garden. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm growing meat.
Yeah, that's a good
Fair
way
enough.
to do it. That's a
Fair
good
enough.
way to do it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to
when
eat
we
too
were
many
raising
rabbits.
rabbits, when we were raising rabbits, we did I don't know what it's called. I call it community caging. So we took a 10 by 20 old greenhouse frame, a hoop house frame, wired it in, and put a roof on it, protecting them from the wind, the rain, everything. And they just ran around inside that enclosure, just free and open, whatever they're doing. We had hay bales in there. They could burrow into the hay bales, make nests, things like that. It worked really, really well for us.
Nice. I'll have to try that. It's just another thing that I
we
gotta like.
We did that. You know, we got eagles and hawks and everything flying around, so there's a lot of predator protection thought that went into the community ranging. But yeah, I don't like doing the cages either.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out.
Okay, so I have 2 rabbit hutches that were given to me. What would I use them for? If y'all don't like caging them, what would you suggest I put in them?
Quail?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, put some quail.
Okay.
Small children.
I mean,
Boy.
look, if I had some children to put in them, I would. So,
Aren't you working on that?
Yeah, you got your
quite.
first kiss last week.
Yeah, there's been several since, but
You're on your way.
not quite.
Just say, hey, I've got a garden.
Has she seen your moonflowers yet, there, Grant? And that's not code for something. Literally, moonflowers.
I mean, I've shown pictures. They're not. It's winter now.
So you
they're
haven't brought her
dead.
back to your place yet. Got you. Okay.
I mean, yeah,
You don't have to answer that.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
That's not code for anything. That's hilarious.
It's a good thing his camera is off.
Right?
I'm sure he's beat red.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Squinting.
look, okay, I tried to have my camera on, but it wouldn't work. But yeah, I am.
Squinton said, "Yeah, I just dug up a lot of dock root today to put in a spot of my backyard." What is dock root? I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like bloody dock. It's a type of what is it? Sorrel.
A sorrel?
Sorrell. It's a perennial green.
Everybody googling it.
Yeah,
Is that a gray man kind of plant? Because no one knows what
Right.
it is.
People look at it and think, "Oh, that's a weed," because I do it all the time until
Sure.
I realize what it was.
I have a bunch
Yeah.
of pictures of an old dude. Who is this?
I'm glad you Googled it first.
What is this?
I got what I wanted.
Sorrell?
Yeah, that's what I think that's how you spell it.
Okay, well, I ended up getting pictures of Alan Sorrell, an English artist and writer.
Nah, it's only one L.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I put a link in the private
history.
chat.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks different.
Right. So Bloody Dock looks like this, except that the veins and stuff are red.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a little bit different.
Yeah. So it's the Rumex family. Yeah. There's this all over the yard.
Yep.
So what other this might end up being like a 6-part series or something.
We could probably do an hour on each.
Yeah, probably. What other food things for collapse now avoid the rush?
So yeah. I think like for us, we've got so many months worth of like stored food. That's the rice, the beans, the long-term storage stuff. One of the things that we buy is Thrive Life. I don't know if you've heard of them or not, but it's freeze-dried food.
Yeah, I've got 3 years of that.
So it's individual
meals.
It's individual ingredients. So it's not like, hey, here's cheesy mac. It's here's potatoes, here's cranberries, here's milk. So you can still cook with it and make your own. It's more expensive than say like what's the big one out there?
Mountain House?
Yeah, like Mountain House and stuff like it's more expensive than some of that stuff, but it's better in the sense that you can still make regular meals with it, not eat the same thing 10 nights in a row.
Sure.
But so we've got some of that, and then you can see the canned goods back here. We can grow and can.
I know one thing we did is we got food grade 5-gallon buckets, and we filled them full of rice, sugar, salt. Mainly for me, it was the sugar and salt, is because you can use that. Say you go hunting. Well, how do you preserve the meat? You're just not going to eat 140-pound deer in a weekend. So other than smoke it, you can salt cure it, sugar cure it, whatever you want to do.
So this is like potatoes, freeze-dried potatoes.
Nice. I was looking at the shop right really quick.
And then also use the sugar, because if you try to can any fruit you grow, well, you kind of need some sugar for that. So
pectin.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the key is. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. I started getting trees I can use like that have like a lot of natural pectin in it that you can add to things. So I've started collecting a lot of those. I know, if I'm not mistaken, crabapple is one of them. And then you can use the crabapple trees to graft on other apple trees and continue that progress without a store to go buy trees from.
Yep. So the key is, are you practicing with your preps? Because when you start making beans from scratch, it's like, dang, this is taking all day long, and it's a whole lot of water, right? So I started getting these dehydrated refried beans from over at the health food store, and then that cuts it out quite a bit.
I'm just going shopping right now. Like butter powder, gluten-free flour, honey crystals, cheese sauce, chicken bouillon.
You looking at
That's
Thrive?
One thing I want to get is a freeze dryer.
If you order from there, man, use my link. I get credit for that stuff.
Yeah, we use butter powder all the time. We coat fish in it when we cook fish.
Dude, this is great.
How do you make butter powder? Just freeze dry it, crunch it up?
Yeah, basically. How do they do that? Yeah.
I would imagine you would start with you would basically turn it into ghee first, right? And then dehydrate it, I guess. Or dehydrate it or freeze dry it. I'm not really sure. I'm just guessing.
Sure.
I would assume you'd have to freeze dry it, because when I wouldn't want to put butter in a dehydrator. It'll melt.
Oh man. So we're talking about what else we can do, and I know that if the balloon went up tomorrow, I would look down. I don't know if you guys have in your area a lot of Muscovy ducks, but man, there's a lot of Muscovy ducks around here, and I could just go and net some, bring them home, clip wings, and take those. You know, Muscovies are great because they are just so darn hardy. They're like a more of a heritage breed, and they don't have issues. They're more semi-feral, so they just live, you know, out in ponds and whatever, and there's nothing that really kills them. You guys have a lot of
Except for
Muscovies
you.
over there. What's that?
I said except for you.
Except for me, you guys have a lot of Muscovies.
We nothing like that. We have an alpaca farm next door, and then a bunch of people's dogs walking around. So
You can
we
eat
can
those
eat
too.
those.
Go
Oh,
down
yeah.
to like any suburbs in any kind of
We have a
large
park.
town.
We have a park, and people dump their ducks when they don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
There. So in
Yeah.
spring, I want to go when there's just a bunch of baby ducks walking around, and then just kind of take a net and scoop them all up.
Okay, so I saw this thing a while ago, and it's kind of old, and it's like recycled and repurposed all the time. But it's like, hey, did you know that you can just go to the park and like take a duck? They're free and they're public.
I've seen that. I know what you're talking about.
No one's gonna stop you, and then you have a duck.
Can you eat Canadian geese?
Well,
Oh,
tech
God.
in
Good luck.
quotations.
I know they're
technically, no.
mean, but
listen, if you get some baby ones, maybe
yeah.
domesticate Canadian goose. That's something
Yeah.
I'm going to give a
Put them in
shot.
your flock of chickens. They'll protect the chickens.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You know, even if they're like, you know, okay, they're kind of mean. They just stay on the other side of the property, you know, but they're here, and you can still maybe harvest
Eat
them.
'em.
I don't know.
Yeah, that is one thing I really do want to do one day. Whether or not it'll get me in trouble is try to domesticate Canadian geese. just for the fun of it. Like, why not?
Quentin, LOL, we have a pond out back, and every year we get swamped with geese.
Good problem to have.
You got any baby
Catch
geese?
one. Grab it by its big, dumb, long neck. And
So I've
shake it.
actually okay. We were on the pontoon boat one day, and Mom was
Now
feeding,
a weapon of war.
Mom was feeding the geese bread, and I've jumped off the boat and saddled the goose and sunk it.
Is this a game you play down in Georgia?
No, I was like 8,
Oh,
and I rode a goose on the lake.
That's totally a Georgia thing. Don't pin that on myself as a whole.
We got Georgia, Alabama, and Florida in here tonight. And
Mississippi.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was like,
Mississippi.
I'm missing one. Yes, Mississippi.
And Mississippi, we're well represented.
I gotta share, since we're just like goofing around basically right now and having fun. I found this TikTok that it made me think of. How do I share this thing again? Oh shoot, I'm not ready.
Boomer.
Shut up. God damn it. There we go. Okay. Share, present, share screen, this tab, share. Am I sharing audio? Let me know if you can hear this.
You know, Canada gooses are a symbol of the nation, right? And if you got a problem with Canada gooses, you got a problem with me, and I suggest you let that one marinate. But I digress. Being the majestic animals that they are, it's important to always treat geese with the same respect that they would treat us.
Get fucked.
No.
Yeah. I've been flogged by geese several times, so we have a love-hate relationship.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't mess with geese.
I've seen them
never
chase
been
too many people.
Goose
I was one of those
hunting, none of
people.
that.
That's why I jumped on one.
I mean, just this lady just minding her own
Why
business.
I did it. I had to. I had no choice. I had to jump on this.
Yeah,
It was
like
retribution.
Think about it this way, right?
It was retribution.
So think about it this way: you got them attracted to your garden. They're swimming in your pond, and then they kind of make that home. And somebody walks on your property, and they're like, "Oh crap! There's the geese. I'm, 180 degrees and going out the other way."
It's like
Or
guard
they have
geese.
an aluminum bat and then
Tack
they whip
geese.
the geese.
Yeah,
Beware of guard geese.
yeah.
Jeremy, I will pay you whatever it costs to take Grant's seeds, all right, and attach it to like a goose neck, like in a little bow, and ship it to Grant. Like, here's your seeds. But
Do
you
it.
gotta get it from the goose.
Do it. I would love that. It
So,
would
like,
be worth the drive for you to just drop a goose in my driveway.
it would be
and then
TikTok content for all
Yeah.
3 of us.
Yes, for everybody. Do
Sponsored by Farm Hop Life.
it.
Huh?
I'll sponsor it too.
Because he's only like 2 hours away.
I'll Venmo you gas.
Oh, Venmo, you guys.
He wants the challenge.
I want to shoot it.
I want to shoot it.
I mean, I'll chase it first.
Sit on it.
Hey, here's the
I'll
thing.
just
Yeah,
Sit
yeah.
on
The
its
rules
head.
are that you can't take it out before you get the seeds. You've got to get the seeds before you can take it out.
That's right. That's your prize.
So you're gonna put the seeds inside the goose.
No.
Yeah, do it. Melt a pinata.
Oh, man.
That would go against community terms of service.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just get an actual so we'll swap it out. We'll do some fancy camera work and we'll have a pinata that looks a lot like a goose. Wink, wink.
This whole thing is going redneck dark really fast.
We gotta keep it light around here. We're talking about collapse now, save the geese or something.
Save the geese.
Yep, save the geese. Squintin, I keep an electric fence around my garden every year. I get a go-go because the babies will get hit by it.
Can you ship me some?
Oops.
Good.
I put an electric fence around the chicken coop, and knock on wood, have not had any problems out of critters.
A big
since.
deal.
So
I lost chickens to raccoons before the electric fence, and I've had the electric fence now for 2.5 years and haven't lost a
What
chicken.
brand do you use?
I don't know.
Electricity can be a great tool.
Uh-huh. Yep. I don't know what brand. So it's just wire.
probably like
It's
Premier.
Oh,
the
okay.
charge controllers, the brand that was given to me by my mom's boyfriend. He just gave it to me.
Okay.
That and hardwood cloth on a coop. If you do just those 2 things,
Flare it
it's
out at the bottom.
the body by the fight right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've prevented. Yeah, they can't dig up underneath the.
Yeah,
I've got a
that's-
25 by
that too.
50 foot run.
Yeah.
And so you've got the fence, but then at the bottom I flared it out and then
Yeah.
put dirt on
You
top.
either
That
go
seems
down or
way
go-
easier than what I did. In my rocky soil, I went and dug down a foot the entire way.
Oh no, yeah, that's
So, like,
man,
because if you flare it out, they will try to dig, and when they
Right.
realize they can't dig, they give up. They don't
Well,
realize. if I
nobody
just back
told
out-
me that.
Well, you didn't ask me.
you didn't read my
Didn't know
book.
you
It was in my
then.
book.
You have a book?
Yeah, I got a book on coop protection, of course.
So I've got
didn't
them.
know
I've
you
got
then
that
either.
flared out at the bottom,
another
and then
book
I've
I
got
have
the
to
electric.
get.
That's
I told you I got a book.
securecube.com.
It's
That's
not time to wrap up yet.
securecube.com.
You got it.
So I put out a poll a while ago, months ago, and I was like, how many, I don't remember the question exactly. It's like, how many farms are you in contact with? Like, if you could not go to the grocery store, and the most common answer is probably like 1 to 2. And obviously like 3 to 4, there was a few, and like 4 and 5 plus, like there was maybe one person that answered. But I'm curious. So like, let's just go around real quick. Starting with Christopher, and then around again. How many farms could you honestly like call up and be like, "Hey, I need blah blah blah, whatever food."
I've got now 3, and I'm hoping to add a 4th one. And then there's a number of people that we are connected with in this community that, not farms, but no, and
They have
also got-
produce here.
Yeah, I just remembered also the milk lady. So there's really 4 I could right now that are true farms.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's solid. Grant,
None. I'm it. It's me.
what?
Yeah.
You,
Come on.
is there anybody else in your class, or like, are they
Yeah,
there to
okay.
dick around?
Well, yeah, but yeah, no one else there grows produce. None of them know what they're. Not many of them know what they're going to do after class. The only ones that do are going.
You call them
landscape.
posers.
Exactly. My neighbor has a fair-sized garden, and when we move, we're still not going to be around anybody because it takes me 30 minutes to get to school, and everybody that's coming from school is coming from 30 minutes the other direction. So, not a whole lot there. I just have to take it upon myself to build enough infrastructure where I don't have to worry about it. I'll probably be the one feeding all the old people around me. And then,
Dang, dude.
yeah.
That's a lot of weight on your shoulders.
I
Yeah.
mean, they could starve. I mean, but mom would be mad at me.
Look, man, when it hits the fan, you got to quit caring what people think about you.
Oh,
Didn't you
including,
say you
including
got-
your mom.
Didn't you say you had 130 pounds of cucumbers last year?
yeah, I got about 130 pounds of cucumbers last year. 30 pounds of potatoes, and I only had like two potato beds. So,
Mhm.
And I'm only growing on 3 hours of sun. So if things happen tomorrow, lights out, I'm cutting about 12 trees down immediately.
Yeah.
So that I'm getting full sun, and then I have, 70 more totes I can put down, which is another,
So
800
why
square
not cut them
feet.
down? Why not cut them down today?
That's what I'm
'cause
thinking.
Hopefully in a year we're not going to be here, and I'm going to have like pasture and
Got
a
it.
whole lot of space.
Right.
Mhm.
I've got one that is in total 2, maybe 3 that I could call on. I got one. So he's and these are all from our local farmers market. But the thing with us is we live, like, I don't live on the farm. I don't have farmland. We live in a suburban community, and we don't have any true farms within, our city, our
Sure.
town. And so everybody that I know is from outside of our city, and they come to our local farmers market. So we've made connections there, and I've got several that I could reach out to. But I mean, some of them are 30 to 45 minutes away.
Well, it's
Exactly.
even better. Whatever collapse probably happens, it's going to be probably more intense in the city than it is outside the city.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you're probably better off that way. So
Didn't he just say he's in the city though?
I'm in the city.
he's in the city, but he has a place to go
But see, here's the thing: if
get food out
it's
of the city.
if it's it hits the fan, where's your gas? Where's your car? Can you drive 45 minutes just to get food for a few days?
I can, because I have enough
know.
gas.
Get a bicycle.
So
Right.
I
Yeah.
On that too.
I had somebody ask me, like, okay, well, what happens when, like, you can't drive anywhere? You can't. So I run these thought experiments in my head, like, just
Oh, yeah.
randomly, like,
Yeah,
I'm
we all do.
driving, and
All the time.
like I was driving somewhere like 45 minutes away, and there's solar, the sun's very active, solar flare. Like, what happens if it fries all electricity and I'm here? How do I get back home? I find the nearest bicycle, steal a bicycle, and bike home. Like I've had people ask me, like, what do you do when the power goes out? You get a
Offer
bicycle.
$100.
Or just steal someone else's car that didn't go out.
I
Like
think
that
I
was-
would.
Damn it, I
I think I
have
would
an
offer
e-bike.
some cash. I think I would say I would pull out my wallet and offer cash, even if I knew, because cash is not
It'd be
going to be worth
useless.
much to me going forward, and I might as well give them a good feeling because I couldn't. It would just bother me too much to just.
I
Steal
mean, like, I wouldn't take it
Well,
out
you
from
could-
underneath someone
You
that was
could
sitting on
kidnap
it.
them with it,
Yeah,
Like,
you would.
Hey, you're gonna come live with me now. You have
Yeah.
food. You'll be fine. Forget your family. You're ours. now.
Yeah.
Padre.
Georgia.
What about Georgia?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
If you count people that specialize in just livestock, sheep, cattle, pigs,
Yes.
probably 7.
Nice.
Nice.
Strong.
Solid.
Solid flex. Yeah. Nice. Who's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
That'd be the Green Acres Creamery, the dairy farm down the road. Absolutely love going there, talking to them, hanging out with them.
That's nice. So they have dairy and beef.
No, they are just a dairy farm.
They're just a dairy.
Yeah.
I was hearing somebody talk about like what they would do to get a beef cow is buy an old dairy cow cheap, raise it for like an extra, I don't know, a couple months to a year tops, then
Slaughter it.
then that's it. Then slaughter it. Yeah.
Well,
That's beef.
right on the other side of my garden is a barbed wire fence, and the other side of that is a cattle pasture. And Joey over there has anywhere from 5 to 20 head of cattle at any given time. So he's one of those I can call on, I can trade with. I could take him several hundred pounds of vegetables.
Good.
Damn,
exchange for some meat.
that's a pretty sweet trade. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honey,
ended up buying
he gets his honey from me anyway. So
There you go, Scott.
I got 3 to 5. So one of the keys is that there's some stuff that just won't grow on my land, like squash. The squash bugs just descend, they destroy it. So come up with a transfer deal at the beginning of the season and say, hey, I'm going to grow this, you grow squash, we'll trade, right? So maybe they have problems with blight for tomatoes or potatoes or something like that, and then we can trade as we're going through the season, just on a normal season. So that'd be great.
I've only got like 2 or 3. One is super reliable. I go to his place often, and the one is like a chicken farm just down the street from me, and then another one is where I used to get my raw milk from. So I haven't been there in a couple months. I'll probably pick back up here soon. A couple comments from Squinton. A lot of what I have around here set up is just a buffer for grid down, a pond full of fish, plants to attract animals, put you some deer sheds in a tree, and that will bring in all the squirrels. Okay, yeah, because the squirrels eat the sheds. Yeah, nice. And
Deer sheds.
the closest farm near me are cotton farmers. There are a few small scale places that are close, but they are like you pick places for berries or fruit. Yeah, so a comment about the sheds is like, so when sheds are sitting out for a while, they turn white. And you don't find them very often because when the squirrels find them, they just mow them down. And so when you can go shed hunting, the shed hunters just like go out like right away, because in certain areas, like there's like seasons for it or something. So
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what that's about. So what haven't we talked about that you guys would like to discuss, since apparently we're only talking about food this episode?
Yeah.
Well, I think go ahead.
No, you first.
Well, I think the big thing is like, don't get stuck with the whole, shit hits the fan, EMP, complete collapse stuff, because I think we're going to see a gradual long-term collapse.
Phases,
and then if they do this central bank digital currency, they flip that on. They look at some of your tweets from 10 years ago, you something, and all of a sudden you get your money shut off, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Or your
Badge of honor.
or you don't get a vax, and or you don't do what they say and they flip your money off. So then what do you do, right? That's more, or like Spirko says, you lose your job. Nobody else has lost their job yet. Yeah. But that's your SHF,
your personal
TF.
SHTF. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's coming down the pipe. You just look at
it's
like
coming.
like Jeremy Dewey. Is that your name, Jeremy?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No,
Like he said, it's like
I'll go back. I've handled it a lot worse.
19. You talk about like early 1900s. Well, that's the Great Depression. You know, they grew up in that, and they like my grandparents grew up after that, and their parents had to deal with it.
Sure.
And we're going to face something worse than that.
Right. Back in 2010, we had in Wichita in a half mile section where there was only houses on one side of the road. We had 6 abandoned houses, foreclosed houses, or just plain abandoned, right? In 2010.
What is that noise?
I don't know. I heard that too. Somebody's got a
noise?
chipmunk in here.
It's hiding in his pocket.
What noise?
There was just like a rattle, like whatever.
Anybody in your
so you had 6 foreclosed houses on one street in 2010.
And in like a half mile on only one side of the street, because there's only houses on one side of the street. So I mean, it's like that much. And that wasn't too long ago. So, I mean, we're heading that way now. And so it's good to have backup power, especially for ice storms and all that other stuff. One of the things that was funny, I bought a generator and I'm like, okay, so it says break this in. Well, I really don't have time to do that right now. And then I decided I'd set some time part, and I turned it on, and it wouldn't turn on, and then it leaked out the carburetor.
Oh.
And so if I would have waited
Whoops.
till the power went out, it
Yeah.
never would have started.
You gotta crank them up every
It
now and
takes
then. Yep.
forever to get a generator sent back
Wow.
because they just the tech support. I think I was online with 2 hours for the person. You sure it's leaking there? And and all
Did
this.
you unplug it and plug it back in?
Yeah, exactly. And and you're supposed to run it like, according to the directions, you're supposed to run it like for 2 hours without a load before you put a load on it.
Yep,
And
I don't follow
so-
those directions. Never have, never will.
Yeah, I know, but
I gotta fix my generator because right now it's a very heavy paperweight.
right.
But
There's so many people that
I gotta fix it.
so like
Don't know
Prepper
how.
Dave and I are doing an episode on med kits, right? And so we're comparing med kits. We've got first aid kits and we got a little bit bigger med kits, and all of his med kits were on tourniquets and gunshot wounds because he's going to fight his way out in
Oh,
and when
jeez.
Antifa descends on his property, right? And I go, and then I start showing him my stuff. I go, so what do you do if you get poison ivy? What?
I die.
And then what was really funny was, so he's got sutures, he's got all this stuff, and then the very first weekend of the lockdown in 2020, he's working in the garage and cuts himself so deep that he has to go to the hospital. And I said, you couldn't even make it through the first weekend of the pandemic. You couldn't even make it through the first weekend.
Kit?
He did, but it was so deep that he couldn't do it one-handed.
I
Yeah.
just glue it.
And
Just
his
I'm
glue it.
wife
surprised he
said-
just didn't like I will not let Scott have this one. He just cuts off his arm. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to the hospital.
I still give him crap about it too. I said, you
Good,
couldn't
you
even
should.
make
He
it through
earned
the
it.
first weekend, dude.
All right, we are gonna wrap up. Christopher,
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
SecureCoop.com. I'm working on a coop door opener with phone notifications. I got another couple bugs knocked out this weekend. Yeah, so we're getting really close to the beta test stage. Get on the website. There's a free ebook with coop protection, and use the coupon below. Farm Hop Life Rocks. And if you sign up for the mailing list, there's also a coupon. You can combine those together. The coop door opener has phone notifications, tells you whether it opens, closes, has an issue, and I'm so confident in my ability to notify you when there's an issue that if there is a loss of your flock and that was owing to some issue that I didn't notify you about, I will replace your entire flock. So get on the website, get the ebook, and get in touch with me.
Yes, looking forward to it. Grant.
Nope,
Homestead
of Pain on TikTok, Instagram, and other places. I've started posting, so you look
Keep
forward
at it.
to more bad videos of
You need
me
the applause sound, Matt.
Ratchet strapping a phone to my chest.
There.
Thank you.
That's TikTok.
Yeah.
Just copy and paste it to Instagram so other people that don't follow
Not
the
on your
CCP
Twitter.
can watch it.
Yeah.
Everything that I put on TikTok, I just
Yeah,
put on Instagram.
the first video that I stitched with Jeremy, it's like, I think it's 1,800 now, and then the one I posted this morning is at I actually posted last night at 12, because that's when I did it. It was, I think it's not at 100 now, so it's pretty good.
Nice. Keep at it.
I just
Jeremy.
post stupid crap on TikTok.
Some people. That's
If
all,
I do it, it's
that's
stupid.
fine.
So
It's the dumb entertaining stuff. Is
Exactly.
what keeps people around. At Do We Like Donuts on TikTok and Instagram. Come follow me, and then we got a t-shirt company, Pure Bama Apparel.
Padre, I think. Yeah. Padre.
Talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
My mic's being weird. All right. So smith-homestead.com. We make homemade old-fashioned soap, hand-poured candles. My wife makes homemade jewelry. My daughter does too now. She has her own page.
Hey.
Enter Farm Hop Life at checkout, 10% off your entire order.
Yes. Thank you. And Scott.
Scott Miller, Thrive in the Future podcast, finding positive solutions to thrive in the tough times ahead. It's on your fave podcast app and also thriveinthefuture.com.
I like that you say fave every time.
Yeah. And
cracks me up.
I was on it.
It's short. It's short to be able to tweet it.
Yeah. I was on it this Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah. I still haven't listened to it, but I still haven't listened to
It was
Matt's
good.
either.
The best thing I heard in that was Grant saying, if it's a free tree, it's a free dollar. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
That was gold.
Yeah, I guess.
Put
it on a shirt.
Yeah, Grant's so enthusiastic, you can't put him on 2 times. You know, like some people listen to podcasts on 1.5 or 2 times, but he talks so fast and he's so enthusiastic, you can't
slow
do
it
that.
down.
Man, when he first found me on Twitter, he just like dumped in my DMs.
Did I?
He slid right into your
I'll
DMs.
have to scroll back up and look at it. Because then he added me to the Telegram, and that's where Matt and then all these other lovely folk.
Yeah,
That's right. He did that to me on TikTok too. He slid right
You
into the
told
DMs.
me to.
Bzz, 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 bzz,
Man, he
bzz,
started
bzz.
showing me pictures of his setup, and I was like, "You got to be in the group. You got to come in the group."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those
But-
pictures are getting major clicks because he's got like calendar quality pictures of his chickens and his his tunnel with the raised beds and stuff. Yeah, I mean it's like
he showed me a couple pictures and I was like, dude, you have to post this stuff online. Like this is
Right.
good. You got a
But
lot of
see,
stuff.
But like,
No excuses, no buts. Stop talking.
I mean,
I need we need daily videos.
Thanks for
Daily.
hanging out with us,
Yeah.
Quentin. I totally muted.
See you
Grant.
guys later.
All right. I am Matthew Rozier over Farm Hop Live 20x23 project. We're going to
I
talk
couldn't
more about
unmute
the
myself.
collapse now. We're going to talk more about the collapse now and avoid the rush in future episodes. I got other topics. We'll figure it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Even Grant. See you guys.
Oh